Marshall in the middle.
Welcome back to the NBC Room. We are really in the NBC Room today. I'm finally out of the truck, man. I've been running this last 2 months, man. I'm just trying to knock out these contracts, man. How everything been going with you guys?
Great, excellent. Pretty busy last couple weeks. Yep.
Yeah,
Not as busy as you, but yeah.
Hey, man, but you working on that stuff that matters, man. That vacation home's coming out nice, man. I'm loving it.
She's turning out pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Will got his new studio going over there. I see he's got the C-130 there.
Right.
Yeah, we're working on it. I could peel back the green screen and let y'all see the construction, but we'll just keep the green screen the way it is right now. Yeah, I'm building out the Marshall in the Middle Heroes I Know studio. I did another interview earlier this week with a hero. It's going to be out this coming Monday, so you guys look for that. Things are going great here. It couldn't be much better,
Yes, sir.
Great.
Well, we got a topic today to start off with that is very near and dear to my heart and my specialty. You guys know, especially you, Top. I was your NBC NCO, and we're talking about actual biological threats. All right, so this is really up my wheelhouse in a many different ways, not just politically, but the actual threat that it poses, not just to our domestic situation and our health as a nation, but globally as humanity goes. In my opinion, there's a lot of nefarious things happening with biological contaminants and weapons, and I want to dig into something that people glossed over and not too many people talked about in 2022. And also we have a major player that's in the current administration, kind of outside of going out the current administration, that we want to cover, that actually talked about this. So first off, if you would like, could you share my screen? Yes, sir. There we go. This is a news broadcast from 2022 about a Las Vegas home that may surprise a lot of you if you guys didn't hear it, which
local and federal officials in Nevada
Sound
confirmed
good?
the connection between a suspected biological lab found in a Las Vegas home and the illegal Reedley facility discovered by a code enforcement officer in December of 2022. That lab was suspected of receiving money from Chinese banks and housing thousands of samples of potentially harmful pathogens. Action News reporter Vincent Camarillo joins us now from the live desk with the latest on this stunning new development. Vincent?
Margot, just yesterday, our cameras captured local and federal officials pulling evidence from the building that once housed that illegal operation. Investigators now saying the homes in Las Vegas held concerning similarities to that in Reedley. Meanwhile, state lawmakers are calling for changes they say should have been made years ago.
A shocking connection out of Nevada, now putting the spotlight back on an illegal operation that shook the Central Valley more than 3 years ago.
As our investigation progressed, we determined that the home was owned by the same individual connected to a prior illegal biolab investigation in Reedley, California that occurred in 2023.
The FBI and Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department revealing Monday Chinese national David He, operator of the illegal Reedley biolab at the center of that 2023 congressional investigation, is now linked to a similar operation in Las Vegas. Investigators searched 2 Las Vegas homes over the weekend, discovering more than 1,000 samples of what they call illegal medical-type biological research materials, later taking them for testing.
We recognize that the public is seeking clarity. What were they testing for? What possibilities are being considered? However, as the sheriff mentioned, in cases like this, our process relies on being slow and methodical.
55-year-old Ori Solomon was identified as the property manager and arrested on scene. David He is said to be the owner, but not a primary suspect. He has remained in federal custody since 2023. His attorney telling Action News he has no connection to this latest case.
Never mentioned anything about Las Vegas properties or any other properties to me about storing any kind of materials or anything of that nature.
Investigators have not determined what exactly was found in the Las Vegas lab, but say similarities to discoveries made in Reedley raised red flags.
The nature of that earlier investigation raised significant concern for what we might encounter in this new case.
additional
Recently,
20
investigators
extra
reportedly
labs.
discovered an illegal biolab containing materials possibly associated with a range of infectious diseases, including hepatitis, COVID, HIV, malaria, and other potentially dangerous pathogens.
And just last year, California lawmakers, including Congressman Jim Costa and David Valadao, introduced a bill designed to strengthen federal oversight of high contaminant labs, now urging Congress to take action following this latest discovery.
Now that we see that, we have this problem is widespread, and we don't know how many other such labs might exist across the country, I think that we urgently need to pass that bill.
Now, in a statement, Congressman Costa said he's not surprised by this discovery, saying he's been ringing the bell on this issue for more than 2 years now. The County of Fresno and the City of Reedley are set to hold a joint press conference tomorrow afternoon to provide an update on that Reedley lab. At the live desk, Vincent Camarillo, ABC 30, Action News.
Wow.
Ori
Searching
Solomon
through
is facing
intelligence community
serious
holding-
charges, both in state and federal court, after investigators seized guns
and files. Today, I'm releasing new evidence of long-standing U.S. government funding of more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries. Now, these biolabs include labs in places like Ukraine, which could be at risk of compromise due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, the intelligence community had previously warned that a U.S.-funded biolab in Ukraine likely housed dangerous pathogens and remained vulnerable to longstanding threats of Russian attack, seizure, or damage. Now, until now, evidence regarding the full existence and funding of these laboratories had been knowingly withheld from you, the American people. Many of these U.S. government-funded biolabs are currently or have previously engaged in research using hazardous and highly contagious pathogens, and in some cases included dangerous gain-of-function research with very little visibility or oversight. Now, President Trump clearly understands the serious threat dangerous gain-of-function research poses to the American people. And this is why he took decisive action over a year ago. On May 25th, 2025, he signed an executive order to end federal funding of gain-of-function research around the world. Here at ODNI, I issued new guidance to the intelligence community directing increased collection on these laboratories and facilities overseas. And we're already seeing the results of this increased collection. We're learning new details, for example, on clinical trials that are underway at these facilities and that are raising significant ethical, financial, and security concerns regarding the supposed public health initiatives and U.S. national security. Now, despite the obvious potential for catastrophic global impact that research on dangerous pathogens in biolabs can have, politicians and so-called health professionals like Dr. Fauci, as well as entities within the Biden administration's national security team, lied repeatedly to the American people about the existence of U.S.-funded and supported biolabs. Not only did they lie, they threatened those who attempted to expose the truth. So this release today breaks new ground, as the information surrounding the existence, history, locations, and funding of these U.S.-funded biolabs has been intentionally covered up by very powerful people who falsely claimed that these biolabs didn't exist. Now, they accuse anyone who says otherwise to be foreign assets and traitors to America. Now, ODNI will continue working closely with partners across the U.S. government to identify exactly where these labs are and what pathogens they contain to end dangerous gain-of-function research that threatens the health and well-being of the American people and people around the world. After months of
we don't have your vocals there. We're
Yeah,
missing
we
you,
don't-
Ray.
All right, can you hear me now?
Okay. Now
Now
you're
we
good.
got you. Now we got
Nice,
you.
nice. So this whole topic has a very deep and sinister underlay to it for me, mostly because for the layman out there that's not familiar what the term gain of function means, It's essentially a research mechanism that scientists use to dive deep into the pathogens or viruses that they are manipulating to enhance them, modify them, make them more contagious, and see the extra parameters of how this thing can actually evolve and affect people. How can it be transmuted? What is the best ways to send it and receive it? All of these different things, and supposedly to create ways to combat it. So that's what the war gaming for it is. Now, the concerning part about this for me is just like Tulsi Gabbard elaborated. Our leadership, the Fauci type, these guys lied consistently about what was going on in Wuhan. They have emails, records, nonstop of what they were doing in Wuhan, and who else knows where else, right? Just like she just said, where else was it? And ironically, in the western part of the United States, we're looking at multiple homes, 20 plus labs just in California and Las Vegas. This ties into why we need better border control. For one, we need more disclosure and more honesty from our higher ups and our elected officials and our unelected officials. There's a conflict there that I want to talk about in a little bit too. The elected and unelected officials, you know, with all these disclosures and stuff. But, you know, the scary part about all of this is that nobody knows what's being floated around and when the next lockdown procedures will come beyond that. And me personally, I lost friends over the lockdown and the shots and all of the other good stuff when I was refusing to do so. Right? Top, you got some kind of relative experience with that?
So one of the heroes I know that I've interviewed that's on the channel, I believe that his interview is still up there, but he worked as part of the Army G3. And a few years ago, 2022, maybe when it was, maybe after that, but Tucker Carlson, when it first broke, was talking about it. And I wrote an article about it that, you know, basically I was listening to what was happening and knew it was obvious that it was the truth, that you know, that Russia was saying, hey, there are biolabs right across the border from us, and I want everybody to know that and be concerned about it. Russia was saying this, and we were like denying it, right? We were like, oh no, we don't have any of those things. Well, one of my heroes messaged me privately after I made my little article. I wrote my little essay. He messaged me and he said, hey, you know, how dare you try to expose our nation's secrets? And he basically made it like I was like a traitor, like I was not a good person. And how dare I say things like, you know, repeat Tucker Carlson. And his message was, if there are bio labs across the world, wouldn't it be better that the United States of America knew about them, knew what was going on with them, and had some oversight rather than not, right? And that was his whole thing, was basically, of course, we know everybody out there that is experimenting with bad things, and wouldn't you want us to know everybody out there and have some kind of control and oversight into it? And that was what his say-so was it would make sense that the USA would be doing this. And so I see his point of view. There are people out there that are going to put things on chickens and see what it does to the chicken's feathers. That's the way it is. People have been doing it forever. And so from my buddy's perspective, and I ended up kind of losing a friend over this, he said, hey, U.S. is doing the right thing by doing this. What I was saying was that if you're doing the right thing, then why you got to lie about it? Why can't you say, of course we know what's happening and we're taking steps to, what you're doing is doing things that you can't do in the U.S. and you're doing them elsewhere. Like the Tuskegee experiment that they did back in the, the 50s and 60s, and here in Alabama, they do those same kind of things, but they do them all over the world, and that nobody knows about it. And that's how they do it. Tulsi said in her thing, they were learning about all of these experimental programs that were going on in these labs and their clinical trials. They're, all this story about these ticks and the stuff that are being engineered and all these flies that they're engineering. And I don't know if y'all realize this, but I think the Pentagon was locked down today because of a chemical agent or a biological agent. I don't know if y'all realize that, but I haven't heard any resolution of. But I believe this morning the Pentagon spent a significant amount of time locked down because of a chemical or biological agent.
Yeah, I heard that. Actually, I think it was yesterday afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, Will. I went over to the in-laws' house and they were just saying it just broke. And I was out shopping. I didn't see anything about it, but I haven't heard anything since. But yeah, that's a good point you brought up there. Question is, though, Ray, what do you think? Do you think her predecessor, Tulsi's predecessor, is going to pursue? Is he going to continue to pursue everything that
her successor?
Yes. That's going to continue to pursue and expose these government-funded agencies. That's the question.
This is the wildest thing. And before I answer that, because that's a great question, in my opinion, if you're following even the outer reaching parts of this disclosure stuff, Top, share my video real quick. Two pieces of clips. We have bipartisan groups of individuals, right? Left and right. They're not all of one party, making a argument that they're being blocked from sensitive information, whether it's the UAPs, aliens, unmanned aircraft, CIA investigations, assassin, all types of stuff. And I just want to play these guys real quick because all of these guys, it's not just Tim Burchett anymore. All right. You got multiple guys coming out here putting their name on the line about this. And whether it's extraterrestrial stuff, aliens, whatever the hell, a lot of them talk, like Tim Burchett says, this stuff been going on for 40 years, right? And he's been told that the president is on a need-to-know basis, which is alarming to me. Let me play some of this.
The reports have said that there are perhaps 4 different alien species, rays, Nordics. How many species are you aware of?
I certainly don't have the compendium. It's a continuum from corporeal bipedal type life to, what I would consider like sentient plasmoid life, but there are several that the U.S. government is aware of.
A question for you, Mr. Grant.
Okay.
During the course of your investigation, it's been surfaced to the public that there's been a program by the name of Immaculate Constellation. During the course of your investigation, did you recognize that the infrastructure to support such a program for exfiltration of data from federal systems would exist?
Yeah, I can't comment on the content of that program. I've discussed on my interview in Judicial Watch that was a National Security Council program. And the secrecy started in 1954 through an Eisenhower executive order that created that infrastructure.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I talked to the president about this issue, and he kept his word to me. He kept his word, and I think that's important. But I think we also need to remember, too, when I'm sitting in a skiff and some little punk in a man bun tells me the president's on a need-to-know basis, folks, that ought to tell you right there what we're up against. We're up against corruption. We're up against a cover-up. This thing's been covered up at least since 1947. Dadgummit, the public deserves the right to know. It's your dadgum tax dollars. It's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about what are we spending all these millions and possibly billions of dollars on that these idiots tell us don't exist. And then yet we turn right around in the skip and then they tell us they do exist. This is a cover-up. You all know it. We know it. We demand the answers, and dadgummit, we're going to get them. Look, we got 1 or 2 bites at this apple. Please be careful about the false information that's coming out of Washington on all this stuff. Trust your gut. You know what's right. You know they exist. You know this has been a cover-up since before most of y'all been born.
All right. So I played that really quick because I just wanted to highlight there's a disconnect in our government. So back to your question about her successor. you know, we've been talking about this deep state thing for a long time, and you know, especially on the right. And the whole one of the biggest reasons why Trump was elected the first time was the animus that the regular man had against this globalist agenda, right? And then on the second term, right, he might have lost. And there's the 2020 election is, in my eyes, still questionable. I remember the first thing I told my wife the night that he lost the election to the most popular president ever, according to them, was that we as a people failed at not letting this become too big to rig. Like, it was, if they're going to cheat, they're going to cheat. These people are going to cheat. So we need to stand out and vote as hard as we can. But the reason why I think overwhelmingly people came out and showed out for 2024 was because they recognized this. They recognized that he was against a fucking animal that was after his fucking neck, especially after 2020. And that animal is the deep state. And what you see these guys, whether you think about the aliens, whether you think about these labs and the gain of function research that Fauci was lying about, the COVID lockdowns, which was a globalist agenda, the disconnect between those who think because they are bureaucratically appointed and don't have to respect the people's votes, and the people that we actually put in power through our votes, that disconnect is so pronounced in just this right here. We should not be guessing about what the fuck's been going on since the 40s or the 50s. And just like you asked, are they going to continue what Tulsi Gabbard is exposing? I don't know. I'm worried that these guys would not have the balls to fight it. That's what I think it is. I think Tulsi's getting pushed out because she is exposing this stuff, and she's getting pushed out because there's threats against her. She's not talking about a lot of the stuff that she came and testified against. She testified that Obama and his whole administration were crooks and they illegally spied on Trump's campaign. She testified that a lot of these people had a lot, Fauci, all of them. She's kind of walking all this stuff back a little bit, but she's acknowledging these type of things still on her way out. So my concern is, does this guy that's going to come and replace her, does he have the balls to say, fuck it, I'm finna walk in here and still fight this. Threaten me all you want to. But for them to have the nerve to say that the president is on a need to know basis, that's the voice of the people saying we want this person to see what we can't see and make decisions for us. And you got the nerve to tell a congressman that the president's on a need to know basis? What say you, Nate?
Well, that's the question is, I just don't want it to end. None of us do. Like you said, that's why 2024 was such a huge thing. Will, you've been hitting on this ever since since I've been on your show for the last solid year now, pretty much. Will's been hitting this nonstop, especially the alien thing. But yeah, the successor, what's his name? Blanchett.
Blanchett.
Blanchett. I want to say yes. I mean, I don't see why President Trump would continue keeping him in there if he wasn't. But it's a good point. I think we need to definitely keep our eye on that, Ray. We definitely need to keep our eye on this because what you just exposed there at the beginning with the 20-some facilities that exist out there, I've never even heard of it.
Right.
Just like the Pentagon,
and that was
yesterday.
2022. Just
like Will mentioned the Pentagon, I was like, news to my ears. But here's the question. How come we don't continuously hear about it? Why does it stop?
Right.
I mean, why does it stop at Tulsi?
Right.
Why did it stop on airing yesterday, and then today I didn't hear a word about it on the news networks, or even on YouTube or any media? What happened?
Right.
Why did it stop? That's the question, Ray. Will,
Yeah. I have my ideas, and it all revolves around the division of people. If you give people a way to be divided and not group up together and make like when Trump won 2024, it was proof to me that the people still had a voice, right? Like 2020, I was going in the belief that, yeah, we're kind of screwed. I was very black-pilled at the reality. Not black-pilled enough to sit my ass home and not go vote, but I was black-pilled enough to say that these powers that be are just too much. And they are a cabal that will have their way whether we like it or not. And as time has prevailed and we got to 2024 and it looked like he won in a landslide, and yeah, we had some of the same shenanigans, but you might be able to cheat in certain places. You can't cheat everywhere. And my thing is, they know this because the way our system is structured. America is the only first and last line of defense to what the West in totality is going through. A takeover over a global UN agenda that is allowing all types of third worlders to invade these countries and destroy them from within, destroy their culture, destroy the self-respect of the people, destroy their religions, destroy their way of life. And it's all being decayed from the inside out in each one of these nations. Now, I believe that if aliens was around and they really dropped down and we had some public disclosure, maybe all of these borders and fucking lines and religious lines and tribal lines would disappear. Maybe we could all unite as humanity. The sad part about that is that's not what the reality of our experience as human beings are. And they are continuously pushing shit in our face and instigating shit in our face that provides more division. And we have too many people that can't like just bump their understanding up a little bit more. You have so many people that are misinterpreting what's happening and misunderstanding what's happening on so many levels on purpose, it seems like. Like, I wanted to talk about the division topic a little bit more in a second, which kind of pours into the Austin Metcalf and the Carmelo Anthony thing. But before I move on to that, Top, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I think we've covered it. Well, except for UFOs and stuff. We can talk about UFOs all day long.
Yeah,
we can run that one.
Will's been hitting it. Will's been hitting that shit for a long time.
You remember the show me, you, and Sarn Jones did about, what is it, 2 years now? Remember we were talking about it, UAPs over Virginia, and we had a little conversation over there. And you know, my stance is still the same, man. It's like, you know, if it's been going on since the 40s, obviously they're not trying to wipe us out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they obviously have levels of tech. And hell, who are we to know? They could be dimensional beings. It could be us from the future.
That's
it could
what my
be,
wife said. Boom,
you know,
that's what my wife
you know what
said,
I mean?
man.
There's a lot of possibilities in this thing. It could be us for the futures.
Where'd these come from so fast?
Right.
I mean, where'd they come from so fast, man?
And they're not evolving anymore.
No.
Right.
They went from 1947 to this, so it seems, you know, in Earth time, that's a split second, man. You know.
Yeah. More Marshall in the middle, Yahoo. Love it. Yeah, man, and it's ironic, you know. There's so many. Hell, it could be spiritual beings, you know, and we just don't know. They could be angels fighting demonic battles up there. We don't know what is happening, and that's why I typically try not to run too deep off into it. But one thing that bugs me, one thing that bugs me is this stuff: the division between our bureaucracy and our elected officials. There's a reason why we elect people, and I need the division to somehow disseminate. You know what I mean? Top, you always talk about the power of love and how we could love each other and come together. You know, this whole Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony thing kind of highlighted this for me in a weird way, right? I seen all of it from day one, a year ago. I've kept up to it. I haven't ignored it. It's been there. I got family members that are all in a fucking uproar about it, and you can't explain shit to them because they intentionally misinterpret whatever the fuck they want to misinterpret. Then I got other individuals on the other side that's just like, you know, why can't we just get along? You know, and it's insane to me when I look at the transformation of Austin Metcalf's father, right? The statement he put out yesterday was alarming. And it should be alarming to a lot of people because the person he was, immediately after his son died, he tried to extend the olive branch to Carmelo Anthony's family. He came to their press release. He tried to pray for them. He tried to work with them. He tried his best and his damnedest to, say, look, this is not a race thing. This is a misguided youth thing, and we can get past this. And one thing that I noticed for sure is the race hustlers that the Carmelo Anthony family ingratiated into their fucking their defense, if you want to call that, are half the reason why we have this uproar right now, and blacks out here attacking white people for no fucking reason. It's just dumb shit that we should have been past since the fucking 40s. And I feel like we got a lack of God. We got a lack of understanding what this nation's about. It's so many things. But watching Austin Metcalf's father go from that to what he's saying yesterday is very disturbing. And I wanted to play that real quick, and then we could dive off in it and, let you guys run at it. Play this real quick. Let me show you what he's saying. And I'll let you guys speak on it, and then I'll give my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. Drew Anthony, Kayla, you're cowards. You wouldn't even show up for your son's sentencing or victim statement impacts. You abandoned your kid. You left him there. I guess he's no more use to you because you can't get any more GoFundMe money or GoSendGo money. You are grifters. You should be ashamed of yourself. You raised that child. And I swear to God, CPS to show him check on those other 3 that you still have.
Whoa.
You never once admitted or took accountability. You tried to play victim. The real victim is the one who died, not the one who shoved a knife in his chest. I come to pray with you and show the world we can close the gap of this unbelievable racial divide. And what'd you do? You widen the gap even further. You hire a convicted, baby-shaking felon who's only in it for the money, who gives you bad advice, kicks me out of a press conference. Oh, funny, I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, but I left when asked. I didn't stab anyone. And then you proceeded to gaslight me with your convicted felon, quote, advocate, minister? Minister of what? Minister irrelevant? Minister of bullshit? How about minister fuck you? Y'all think I'm a saint? I'm no saint. I'm as human as you. I have emotions. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I don't sin, because I don't walk on water and I don't turn into wine. And anybody else can, step up. Don't become kicking rocks in my backyard. Look in your own. The display of adults on the internet. If your children saw how you acted, would you be proud? Or is that what you teach them? Do you teach them that racism is okay? Do you teach them? Do you program your kids to hate, to kill? From day one, I said this was never about race. Please don't make it about race and don't politicize it. And what did you do? You chose both. The race card, black fatigue, it's real. I'm sorry. You have embarrassed your own culture and race. Don't get me wrong, we got white people that embarrass the shit out of me too. But you guys, you got a patent on that shit. And the only people that's going to change it are you. Don't blame the white person because we can't change it. But you're going to blame the white person for every fucking thing else. I'm going to tell you right now. Charleston White, you think you're funny? We'll see who's laughing. Drew Anthony, you're a pussy and a coward, and you raised one. Kayla, you drunk bitch. What'd you do to that boy to make him stab somebody? My God, what kind of mother are you? Hey, Kevin Hayes, you fucking liar. Day after it happened, how many lies did you sit and type up on your keyboard, you big keyboard warrior? You a big tough man. You still live in Baton Rouge? Remember you said you'd come to Frisco, buddy? You were supposed to find me. I told you we could sit down and talk. That's all you do. Talk, Mr. Squeaky Clean. You're the only one in your family without a damn record. I guess that's something to brag about in your culture. You people hang your hat on the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Let me make one up. Y'all can let me make something racist up so y'all can go viral. I got a new name for Mello, okay? Because he was such this little boy y'all were trying to portray. How about Watermelon Felon? How's that one strike you? I hope he enjoyed his first night in that cell last night, because he's going to have many nights to think about what the fuck he did. I forgave him, so I don't carry the hate and the anger. How poetic justice is served. You just do a big softball and knock it out of the park. Thank you for making it so easy for me. So you can live with your lie if you want to, but my truth is forever. Just like the fact your son is a convict and a killer. Forever. Forever is a long time. What's your master plan, Mr. Anthony? To use your son as income and soak up as much money playing victim to line your pockets and then abandon him when he's at sentencing or at victim impact? You just left him up there by himself? Amazing. Amazing. What about you, Drew? What kind of father are you? You want to talk about what kind of father? All right, let's talk about what kind of father you are. Let's talk about.
All right, you guys get the gist. I wanted to give it a little bit of time so you guys can kind of get the context. And my guy got a little vulgar. He got a lot of vulgar, and he looked like he was trying to antagonize in the worst ways he could. What's your take on it, Nate? How do you feel about what all he was going through or saying?
Well, what he was saying, I agree to a point of the circumstance. I can kind of hear it echo, but I don't like the watermelon felon and all that bullshit. I think he took it too far. I agree with that. I mean, you gotta sympathize to the point. You just he's a father who lost his son to murder. And then there's just two parts of it. You could sit behind him and go, I can sympathize with that. Why he's saying what he's saying, because if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know this for sure, but I believe the reason he's coming out with this video, and I think there was a couple others too. I think he was getting threatened, as he said earlier. He was getting threatened, and it was just increasing and increasing and increases to the point where his family and him they couldn't go anywhere for a while, almost like a lockdown status. But what my big point was that I wanted to talk about on that subject with the divide thing going on is, we've been watching this now for 3 decades, and the escalation of this situation, going back to Rodney King, it used to be white people and authorities, police, going after Rodney King, doing what they did to him, and everybody just stayed on the down low. Los Angeles and big cities stayed on the down low until the verdict came out. Once the verdict came out, and that those police officers were not guilty, then the riots took over. Then it was acceptable. Okay, at that point, the riot, hey, free reign, go. Riots were going. Now let's fast forward to Floyd and Trayvon, the Obama years, a white person in authority, does something bad to a black person on the streets or a person of color on the street. Bam. Now you have rioting without the verdict. Free reign. Go for it, man. Burn the city, burn the flags, burn the city, riot all you want to. That's how it escalated. Now we're at the point, gentlemen. Now I believe we're at the point where now it's a black person kills a white person, and it's free reign. We don't need the verdict. We don't need the sentencing. It's free reign. It's a racial problem. And I know a lot of people were like, well, this is not a thing about race. I know the father first, this is a crime of murder against a human being to another. Well, you know what? It is a problem of race. This did excel from race. And you know who I blame for that mostly? I'll tell you straight up, and I don't know if you're going to agree. I think you will. The fucking media. The media wanted this to be a thing of race from the get-go, because you wouldn't have a story if it wasn't a white on black or a black on white crime. It would have died. It would have died out. If it was white on white, never heard a fucking word about it. Okay? If it was black on black, which happens every night in this country, never would have heard a word about it. It had to be a thing of race to keep the story going for all these weeks and all this whole year. So yes, it turned into a thing of race, and our country accepted it. What say you guys?
What you say, Top?
It's interesting to watch a video where the father of a murdered person is talking, right? Because it is a lot of it is very emotion driven. One of the things that's interesting, kind of from my perspective, and this goes a lot to what Nate is saying, is how much our culture drives division. Our media drives division. At every turn, there's a group of people that wants to celebrate diversity and say how great it is and how awesome it is. And we have to hire somebody of this type to fill this role and all of that. The whole time they're driving themselves down a path where what doesn't matter is the real person that they are. What matters is the frame that's around them and what kind of clothes they wear and what kind of skin color they have or any of that stuff. And it's really wild. The thing, though, that he said that I think is the truest of all is that if you've got problems in your own culture, then you got to fix those problems. I can't go fix a problem that's not in my own neighborhood, right? I can't fix a problem that I can't see accurately. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people around. There's a guy close to me, right across the river from me over in Georgia. He's got this thing called the X Factor or something like that. And he's taking these little young men and little young ladies, and he's teaching them good stuff. He's really doing, there's a lot of programs. So we can't get lost in the fact that maybe because you're disadvantaged or you're this ethnicity or this, that, or the other, that you can't be a part of society and be this is the land of opportunity for everybody. And Ray, you said it a few times, and I would like to hear your view on it. Like, you were told that a certain group of people was holding you down, right? That was ingrained into you. What was ingrained into me by my parents was that you better not be a racist bad person. You are better than that. You know that human beings are human. My parents were constantly making sure that I realized and my grandmother especially, that everybody was to be loved and every human being was equal. Well, what were your parents and grandparents teaching you about those around you? Can you share some of that?
Yeah, so first I'll lay it out kind of where I'm from, right? I'm from Tampa, Florida. My mother, when I was born, she lived with her mother in what was called Robles Park Projects. All right. It was a low income area. I don't know if you guys have ever been in any project area, but it was the projects. All right. A lot of black people, if you're watching and y'all have been in the inner slums, you know what that is. So a lot of crack dealing, a lot of fights late night, a lot of shootouts. I grew up in the, as a child of the crack era. My mother, when she had me, she had the inspiration to get the hell up out of there. And I'm forever grateful for that, right? So unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, her choice was to go into the military. So fortunately, she chose the military. Unfortunately, going to basic training, you can't take your baby with you, So I stayed with my grandmother and my aunt for a while. A little after, I say about 5 to 10 years, she got out. I was with her for up until I got back with her at about 6 years old and stayed with her until I was about 10 years old. And she got out. She got out of E5 and came back to the same place, right? She didn't move into the projects. She worked 2 jobs and she had moderate middle income living, but she was a single mother. And I had a lot of family and I'm half Haitian, so I had a Haitian side of my family. I had all the family that was from my uncles and my aunts, all from the projects, all from the PJs. I had people I looked up to that were pimps, drug dealers. This is all I knew, right? These were the people I knew, right? In school, I went to Hillsborough High School, predominantly black high school. There were some white kids that were busted in from like town and country and other areas, but humans were kind of tribal, you don't like forcefully intermingle. My first white friend in high school was a guy named Sam. And he was the first time I ever really like interacted with a white guy. And the way that we connected was in computer class. And at the time I was getting into anime, right? So it was Dragon Ball. Now, mind you, this white boy used to get picked on a lot. And I came from a family where we was always fighting. We was known in the streets that, boy, you fuck with them, they gonna fight, right? And this white boy was getting picked on a lot, but one day I came in computer class and he was playing a game on computer. He somehow modded the computer to have a Dragon Ball game. And I sat down next to him and started playing it with him. And ever from that day on, me and him was thick as thieves, man. I come back from school, right? I come back the next day after watching the next late episode of Dragon Ball Z. We spent all computer class talking about Dragon Ball Z. From that moment on, he was under my protection. Anybody fucked with him, they had to fuck with me. And that was my partner, which also opened the door for me to get very close with this guy, right? So ultimately, during the 90s, my rearing wasn't white focused, right? Like it wasn't white or black focused. It was more so, this is my atmosphere, this is my neighborhood, this is the people I know, and I wasn't opposed to dealing with white people. But what I was taught about the government and the system was that this place wasn't made for us. All right. I was taught that as a black man, I'm always going to have obstacles in front of me that whites and others don't have. I was taught that, being that my grandfather was a slave and all of these different things, that we were less fortunate and had a harder go at it because of these things. Not necessarily that white people around me were racist or that I should hate them. You know what I'm saying? We did have a affinity or a lack of respect for authority, like, because we were all breaking the law, right? We were selling drugs, we were having illegal weapons, we were doing a lot of fuck shit, And with that comes the reality that oh, that authority, when that police come by, when we said cracker, we wasn't talking about white people. It could have been a black guy driving a police car. He was a cracker to us. You see what I'm saying? So it was like, oh, the cracker's coming. That means the police coming. Drop whatever you got and run, right? I messed around and got caught up with a charge at 17 years old. My mother went in the courtroom and said, he's getting the hell up out of here. He's going to the military. We've already talked to recruiters, and he's getting the fuck away from here. And I blessed that judge. They adjudicated me. They let me do some community service, and then they sent my ass off. I scored so high on the GT, on the ASVAB, that my GT score was 110. I could get any job that I wanted. Yep. And the recruiter came in and told the judge, like, this guy he's an A recruit. We can get him any job. We could change his life. And luckily that judge, it was a white lady, looked at me and was like, yeah, you know, get him in. And she looked at me and she said, Mr. Burnett, if I ever see you again, I guarantee you won't see the light of day. I say, no, man, you ain't got to worry about me. Needless to say, we know how that kind of ended up after I got out the Army.
You didn't see her again, did you? You didn't run back into her.
Not. Thank God I didn't see her again. Right? But being in the military, you know, I had a lot, especially when I started having a little bit of authority. You know, you start getting those NCO stripes. You know, hell, even in basic training, being a platoon guide, you're in charge of older white guys and all. You got to be a leader. So my barriers and what I thought was already cracking, right? And you know how I took affinity to Utah. Like it wasn't, you know, I might have been a little, I might have been, you know, kind of on that borderline, like, man, he's a fucking sharpshooter. He's fast tracking. He's top notch. And then next thing you know, you're like, the fuck was that, Burnett? What the fuck was that? You know, that was me. I still had a little bit of that. As you can say, I still have a little bit of that edge in me where, you know, that's where I come from. But getting to know so many people all over the world, all different walks of life, and some of my best friends were actually white people. Some of the people that gave me the most opportunities in my life were actually white people. Some of the people that actually looked out for me the most were actually white people. Some of the people, I had a guy in prison that I met. He was an old guy. He was 67 years old. He was locked up on a counting situation. All right. And me and him got put in the same dorm for military veterans. Right. And he owned like 7 businesses out on the outs. And he just started teaching me. And man, sit over here. So while everybody else out there talking crazy and I'm over here soaking up knowledge, understanding business from him. He teaching me stocks. He teaching me and he taught me what type of subscriptions I should be subscribing to actually understand what I'm reading. This is a 60-something-year-old man, white man. I mean, he didn't have to do none of that. He took a liking to me, and I took a liking to him. It wasn't until all of that, it made me reflect on all my life and come together and realize that, yo, all that shit we doing, talking about we struggling to survive. The fuck you mean we struggling to survive? We making conscious decisions to wake up and break the law. We making conscious decisions. I'm riding around in my car, cocaine and a gun. Why? I'm doing this consciously. The people that I had to worry about trying to kill me look like me all the time. The people that robbed me when I got robbed look like me. You get what I'm saying? It wasn't a white man robbing me. I ain't never get a gun put in my face from some white dude who would Pookie down the street did. You know what I mean? So all of this was, you know, amalgamating into a consensus of not just my experiences, what I've been through, the people I've known. And I think that, you know, this is the biggest hurdle. I asked myself, if I never went to the Army, would I have been receptive to that white guy in prison? You know what I mean? Would I have been receptive to some of these understandings about learning the Constitution. Because in my mind, before the military, the world wasn't, this country wasn't made for me. This wasn't, the rules of the Constitution didn't apply to me. And I wasn't abiding by it because it wasn't for me. I was, in my mind, 3/4 of a human being to the Constitution. So these things that were put in my head were a hindrance, but because of my military and me being the type of person where I didn't have an all outright bias of, oh, you're white, so I can't talk to you, or you're white, I hate you, or I didn't really have that. You know, I had a structural problem, you know, and I think that comes from lack of male influence, looking for the male influence from other individuals out in the street that I look up to. Oh, he got the nice car, he got all the girls, and you know what I'm saying? So growing up, I was looking at those guys as there, but you know, as I'm grown now, I'm 40 years old, I can look back and realize that that was very immature thinking and not really well thought out or understanding what I was thinking at the same time. So ultimately, I go on that long spiel to say this, you know, I look at what's happening, and there's a part of me that can relate to a lot of the people on like in my family that are losing their shit over this Carmelo Anthony thing. But I also understand that they don't get it. And I don't even understand how to impart that on them, because in my mind, I'm thinking like, if I never went to the military, how would I get it? If I never had certain friends that kind of bust that bubble for me, how would I get it? You know, if I didn't have somebody to sit down and teach me how the stock game worked, how business worked, what incorporations was, what the Constitution really means and what it is, what those hundreds of thousands of people that fought and died in the Civil War to make sure we got freedom. You know, that's never highlighted in this country. It's never highlighted that the hypocrisy of the Declaration of Independence of every man created equal under God is actually the same blessing that's helped stop slavery all over the fucking world. It's the same. It was a mirror to the founders' face saying, yo, we are treating them how we're complaining that we're being treated. And it started the abolitionist movement. And the abolitionist movement were a bunch of white people that were helping slaves free themselves, fighting against the tyranny of the Confederacy. And it was so popular that it ended up landing a fucking Republican president by unanimous decision, Abraham Lincoln. It was popular enough that white people voted for a abolishment party president. That's what the Republican Party was founded on. And then there went on to have a war. One party, you know, you have the argument that, oh, you know, the Civil War wasn't over slavery. Yeah, there might be some arguments to be had, but it doesn't take away the fact that the Republican Party, one of their leading principles was abolishment. That was what they campaigned on. If you look back in a lot of those old campaigns, it was all about campaigning about, oh, human is a human, no matter what. Congressmen, fucking senators, all of them, they were a part of the abolishment party. They would quote Thomas Jefferson. They would quote Benjamin Franklin, speaking on how they would have to reckon for the things that they were doing to the Africans, the Negro. So if I didn't have the opportunity to expose myself to that part, I don't know what I would be thinking right now. And that part makes me sympathize just a little. But then, being that I've had so many friends from the other side of the tracks, I can sympathize with Austin Metcalf's father when you say, yo, I've been awoke for a long time for this. I've been watching this since Obama years. And I'm like, we done took this shit way too far, this picking on whitey. It's always the white man. The white man is everything. He stole our music, he stole our clothes, he stole our ideas, he stole our inventions, he stole us from the land we come from. We was the real motherfuckers in England. We was the first kings and queens in England. And these ideologies that is permeating through the Black culture, I can empathize and stand from the outside and think, How many white people have I came across that are blatantly racist? How many white people have I come across that are like, listen, man, it ain't about color, it's about your character. I got best friends I go out camping and go fishing with. They love to just, so what? I might be the token black friend. I don't give a fuck. It's cool though. We have a good fucking time. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm a sellout now. Yeah,
I want to talk about that just for a second. There's no so as a white guy, there's no token black friend. There's nobody that I'm like looking at my phone contacts going, "Where's my token black? Oh, I gotta have a Chinese friend. Oh, I gotta have a." No, life doesn't work that way. But one of the things that's interesting, and I would love to bring up and try to figure out, right, is it wasn't long ago you identified yourself as a nationalist, right? And I would identify myself as a nationalist. On the national media not long ago, there was a white nationalist that was trying to help hurricane victims or something, right? And they were being very disparaging towards that person, like being a white nationalist suddenly meant something that was segregationist or bad or whatever. One of my thoughts is, how do we get to the point where we just decide to be Americans and nationalists and not have to put all of these white, black, Chinese, why can't we just be, what happens when I tell you, look, dude, I'm from Henry County, Alabama, so you just know that,
Right.
What point can we become Americans? Does that make sense?
Yeah, what you were about to say something, Nate?
Yeah, I think you have your handful, like you said, Ray. You said that the Republicans have always pushed, and I've mentioned it on this show before. The Republicans have always been activists of freedom, of anti-slavery, and all that.
Yeah.
They got it. Us as a nation got it twisted, and the Democrats twisted it. They twisted it in the '60s.
They did a great job,
and they did a great job, and they're still trying to play it today. But more Americans are catching on to it. We're like, wait a minute, now, hold up now. Because if you look at the real racists, and I'm not saying that Joe Biden is because he's a Democrat, but like Will just said, he don't look at your phone, and like me, I don't look at your text message and go, oh, hey, Jess, my black friend Ray just texted me. and Will and my black friend Ray text me. So let me go text my black friend Ray. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Joe Biden, and the reason I mentioned him, Ray, the reason I really like you is because you're a black man, but you're clean. You are well distinguished. These are the words, and I know people are like, what the fuck?
That he used for Obama.
No, by Biden.
Yeah,
Biden used those words during the Obama campaign in 2008, if you remember that. My wife printed me off. We didn't have the show, I think, Wednesday, but my wife had printed off a whole slew over the last 10 years, well, actually since the 70s, of some of the shit that has come out of Biden's mouth about race, man. That is what you call a racist. When I have to look at the person by the color of their skin and say, I like him because he's clean. He's a clean black person.
Right.
I like him because he's a skinny Mexican.
He said that's a dream, man. That's a dream, man. He was a character, man. He said he didn't want his kids in a racial jungle. He was all
racial jungle's one of them. And then he did one that was in the '70s when he was a senator.
Yeah.
I mean, let's take away the guy's mental capacity during the last 4 years, how it declined. Okay, but let's just take it back to when he was a young senator. The shit that come out of his mouth was fucking stupid anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The guy was bad. He was just a bad character, man.
Right.
So,
right.
But anyways, go ahead, man. What you were saying.
I
had to get that off my chest.
The sad thing about it, to your question, Top, about what would it take for us to just all be nice? I think, in my opinion, is for more people to really start understanding what's happening. I always hark back to the Communist Party. of America, and it's alive and well today, right? And just like I played a couple about 6-7 episodes ago, I played the clip of the lady from BLM talking about she was trained Marxist, right? The reality of it is, you know, we don't give that enough credits. Thomas Sowell been talking about this since the 70s, that Marxism is the underlying threat of the left. And ironically, they're actually eating each other right now. You have the cultural Marxists, and then you have the economic Marxists, and they're both residing on the left, but they're battling for power right now. The problem is that if either side wins, we as the people lose. So it doesn't matter who eats who over there. If that is the dominant other party in this country, we're fucked, because all of it is based off identity politics. All of it is based off of manipulating and dividing people for voting blocks, right? Whereas, you know, you try to explain that to certain people and they'll be like, well, what the Republicans gonna do for you? And I think that's one of the things that my people as Black people have the worst problem. I always talk about Malcolm X a lot, right? Not because of his necessary economic policy, so to speak, or his political allegiances, but more so that his idea of the forced integration being faulty was, in my opinion, correct. You don't force people, oh, you and y'all are going to be friends and kiss and hug. You know, that doesn't work. Human beings are tribal by nature, and will always be that way. And that's why you have the calamities and all the stabbings and stuff, because they don't got guns over there in Europe. But the stabbings, I don't know if y'all heard about the beheading, the Sudanese refugee over there trying to behead the guy in Belfast. It's so much happening right in the middle of the street. Got the man down. It's a very gruesome video. I thought about bringing it up, but I was like, this ain't American problems. But sadly, it's a Western problem. We have the same things that they're forcing over there. They're forcing it over here. This forced immigration, this forced clash of culture. And until Americans realize that we are American first, no matter what your history of it is, we'll never be able to get over it, because we are inherently tribal, and a people that sits there and always claims skin folk is my people is all about the skin color. If that's what their tribe is, if that's their God, then they can't integrate with anybody else. And that's the problem with Black people right now. So as you talked about how I claim to be a Black nationalist, when I throw out the Black, it's trying to scratch something for other individuals that have my skin color and don't understand where I'm coming from. Like, listen, I'm a Black person, but I'm a nationalist. I want y'all to understand what this nation is. I want you to see where you at and why you got it so good. There's so many people that, even in my family, I can show them evidence after evidence of what it's like to think they're going to move to Africa. Yeah, go over there. Fuck it. And just get rid of your citizenship. Just go over there and live there. Get in their economy, find the jobs, and figure out how much they really give a fuck about you. Because they're tribal as fuck over there too. You got the Rwandans hate the Congolese. You got the Nigerians, they'll quickly tell you, I'm not Ghanaian. Don't mix me up with those people. The Ethiopians will look down on the Sudanese like, fuck them. South Africans have no clue who the fuck they are, and they don't care about each other. They fight amongst each other, tribal. And none of them are progressing in any kind of way. It's just chaos. You go over there as the American, try to travel, they're scamming you. They look at me as a white man when I go over there. You know, you're a white man. You have a price. That's the only place in this world where foreigners have a different price than the locals. And they got the signs up where it show you. If you're a foreigner, it's 3 denarii. If you're a local, it's 2 denarii. What the fuck are you doing? And they'll do it in your face. Give me pity, give me PT, give me small. You know, and that's how they treat you. And it's like the lack of exploring outside of their 4 square blocks neighborhoods is what's actually hindering Black people the most in this country. They're not waking up to the reality that every fucking night, you can Google it right now in any major city, whether it's where I'm from. I had to do this to one of my friends yesterday. We was talking about the same shit. I'm like, bro, who died last night in Highland Pines? Ain't nobody died. I pulled up 3 shootings. 3 shootings. 3 people got shot last night. And you worried about some shit going on with Texas and 2 teens that was arguing about some seating under a tent. And you don't even get the whole picture, nor do you understand the law. Do you understand? Oh, well, how did Carmelo get found guilty, but the Chinese guy in Baltimore got not guilty? It's 2 totally different circumstances, 2 totally different states, 2 totally different judges, juries, laws, everything, and you can't understand the nuance. And you can't understand self-defense. You think everything is just equal, and it's like there's a lack of knowledge, and because of that lack of knowledge, the Marxists and communists in our country use that as their scapegoat to easily infiltrate those who aren't taking the time to educate themselves and understand what's happening. And then they turn enemies amongst each other and says, we'll fight this battle for you. But they don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you. And it ain't
it's the Marxist side of the Democrat Party right now that are praying to God that there is a racial riot caused by this Texas situation. That was my point I was getting at. We have escalated to that point now where they're pretty much coming out without publicly just saying it's okay if a black person kills a white person. He should be walking. I mean, we're that close. They're just almost damn near coming out and saying it, but they're not.
Can I ask him? Maybe I'm not read into all. I haven't paid that much attention to this, but from what I understand, they were at some track meet at some stadium, and a black guy comes up under a tent for some reason and basically just stabs the shit out of this guy and kills him. Runs off, hides a knife or something.
They were doing this to each other back and forth.
For a minute. So what ended up happening is Carmelo Anthony went over to see another guy. I forgot the little boy's name. He testified on the stand also. It was his friend, or quote unquote friend, when it comes out on the stand that Buddy said, I messed with him here and there, but I was really more close to Carmelo's girlfriend, right? So he was cool with Carmelo's girlfriend more than actually Carmelo. Weird situation. So the buddy was Carmelo used to come over to the tent whenever those 2 high schools met up, and he would hang out over there with the guy. Well, they had rules that you were not supposed to be over there in each other's tents. No intermingling, no interfraternizing. So with the Metcalf, the schools. Metcalf, being the team leader, he decided that he was going to take it upon himself to ask Buddy to leave. They got into a whole heated back and forth about make me leave. I ain't leaving. Fuck you. All this extra shit. You can't tell me what to do. Well, this point right here is what a lot of black people are getting hung up on. How you gonna tell that man to leave? He wasn't authority. He wasn't a coach. He wasn't this. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That was their team's locker. That was their team's personal space. If everybody's up running, they don't want strange people sitting there going through and rummaging through stuff. Things come up missing that way. This is a security thing, and all Carmelo had to do was leave. Well, essentially, it escalated. There's multiple witnesses saying that while it was escalating, Carmelo was like, touch me and see what happened. Touch me and see what happened. And Austin Metcalf, about multiple witnesses saying, Metcalf was like, listen, bro, I don't want to fight you, man. I just really want you to leave. We're not supposed to have people in our tent. Can you please leave? Make me leave. Make me leave. So he grabbed him and touch him and tell him, come on. And he started pushing him out. That's when Carmelo had pulled the weapon out of his bag, stabbed him, and then turned around and ran off. Austin Metcalf died right there. So essentially, the force does not equal the force, right? If you look at the Rick Chow case where the 14-year-old had the gun and he was shot, granted, there's not a lot of video. There's no video evidence of this. There's no, a lot of corroborating witnesses, but you have a 14-year-old with a gun. He was obviously in the store trying to steal. I don't care what people say. Oh, stereotype, man. This man been having that store there for 20 years. You think he just woke up and said, I'm going to pick on the first little nigger that comes in here. No, that's not how that shit works. There's little black boys going in there every day, all day. This is a regular occurrence. And obviously, for them to zone in on you and you not have any money, you go in here with a gun, Obviously, they might have seen you on the damn video camera last week stealing some water, so they're watching you this time. Like, listen, you gonna pay today. People don't understand business. That shit costs. It adds up. Those margins are already thin. I gotta make 20 cents on this water bottle. I don't care if it's 20 cents. I have to add it up. Don't come in my store stealing. So they address him. He panics and runs out. Probably panicked because he had the gun. They run out. Him and his son run out and chase the boy. And supposedly he gets scared because he's being chased by two adults. Granted, you know, I'll grant you that. Maybe the boy got scared that two adults are chasing him. He turns around, pulls out the gun. And while he's pulling out the gun, Rick Chow, he thinks that the boy is going to shoot his son. So he shoots the boy. Now, you could say that may have been wrong or right, but it's nowhere close to the same scenario as Carmelo Anthony. He met the same force that was being threatened to his son with the force, and the evidence is the gun that was in his hand when he was dying. That's the evidence. Whereas this situation, you're talking about a little schoolyard squabble. They tried to make up all these lies. There was lies about videos showing that video never appeared in the court. And out of the 20 witnesses, nobody corroborated that boy getting jumped. Then they try to corroborate that and make it sound like, oh, well, what about the same thing with George Zimmerman? It's not the same. George Zimmerman was on the ground like this. Bow, 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 bow. Blood coming out of the back of his head. He had a pistol on him and got the guy up off him. Right. It's not the same. But these nuances, people don't want to see. They intentionally misinterpret this stuff.
Wasn't the verdict given like 3 days ago? I think it's been 3 days now.
Yeah.
2 or 3 days. But it's continuously escalating now. And now it's it was a Swiss Army knife.
Right.
You know, it's like irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. None of that matters.
I could take this out of my pocket and smash it up against somebody's nose and possibly kill him. You know, I just say that's irrelevant, man.
Right.
The guy killed him. Killed him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a trained killer, guys. Remember, I was in the military. Watch out.
Now, I think the verdict, and you'd probably, you being in jail there, Ray, you know the deal. He's going to serve half of his 35-year sentence. Yeah, and then for Texas, and then he gets his chance for parole. And then any lawyer on TV that I've seen is like, well, it's hard to determine parole because now you have to take in consideration. Well, how are they going to act while they're in prison for 15 years?
And this is something else that should be said, right? Because with my experience being in the other side of the justice system, one thing I do know during sentencing parameters, there's always external, what they call it, God damn it, it's like a term for exacerbating factors, right? So just imagine if when Austin Metcalf's father showed up to the press relief and he got kicked out, instead of them kicking him out, they bringing him in. They all pray together. They acknowledge where they went wrong. Carmelo Anthony exposes, it shows remorse, shows that he fucked up. He knows he fucked up. This is sad. Instead of, yeah, I did it. Y'all ain't got to worry about it. That's what he did when he first got, yeah, I did it. I told him not to touch me. No remorse.
Yeah. All right.
He looks like a stone cold killer when in that moment. Well, yeah, later when he's getting sentenced and he cut his head off, I look at him like, damn, man, that boy looks so damn young. That threw his damn life away. And I feel for that. But that attitude, that's an exhausting and exacerbating factor. They count that in court. If you do good deeds before the sentencing, there's a lot of playroom where they like, well, we're not going to max you out and give you the most we can give you. We see that you probably messed up. And hell, it could have probably been a manslaughter case for all we know. And not saying I'm advocating for one way or the other. I'm saying that the fact that all of this, they took the race route and turned this shit into this big publicity stunt and made it way bigger than what it was compared to what's going on all over the country every fucking day. That was a exacerbating factor that made it seem like him or his family didn't take accountability or remorse and could play a part in the jury's decision when they're hearing all this evidence and how much of a dickhead he was being under that tent. All of that plays into it. Like, oh, you was being that much of a dickhead. and you just felt like you was just gonna claim the race factor and walk the fuck out of here. All this turmoil going on all over the country because of your ass and your parents and this fucking broke ass fucking ambulance chasing black attorney, so-called lawyer over here that's making this all a race riot when it ain't had shit to do with those two knucklehead kids, most likely with two weird ass egos and attitudes, and it didn't have to turn into what it turned into. And instead of saying, yes, I fucked up, I messed up, you know, I wasn't thinking straight, I panicked. Yeah, the guy was bigger than me, and I didn't really think I was going to kill him. He didn't even speak. He didn't do none of that. He sat in his truth. Shit, he shouldn't have touched me. Shouldn't have touched me. Well, you finna go learn today. You gonna learn today. That's what we gonna do. We gonna send your ass up. You gonna learn today. And that's what they do. That's how it works. People that haven't been in the court system and don't know how that works, I can come in with the same charge. But because how I presented myself and spoke to it, I might get 3 years. Well, you turn around and get 10 years. And we in the same case, same courtroom, same everything. The reason why you up here, you over here, fuck this shit, man. I don't even supposed to be in this motherfucker. I'm over here like, sir, I fucked up. I ain't had no reason to be doing none of the shit that I was doing. And I knew better. And if you give me another chance, I will make 3 years. And that really happens like that. People don't understand context or nuance. And I think that played a huge factor, you know. But before we run out of time and run this show crazy, one last thing, all right? The whole Iran deal. Let's check this out real quick.
Dun, dun, dun.
A great settlement of...
Tonight, the sudden reversal. Just hours before another round of U.S. airstrikes was set to begin against Iran, President Trump canceling the attack, insisting a deal is within reach.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents. We should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe.
The president saying multiple countries in the region were on board, though tonight Iran's foreign ministry says it has not yet reached a final decision regarding an agreement and will not compromise on its red lines.
They will not purchase, develop in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon. They will not have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump has said a deal was close before. Today he was pressed, why is this time different? Pointed to the latest U.S. strikes.
Because they've taken a pounding. They've taken a pounding like very few people could take. And they want to make the deal a lot more than I do.
Earlier today, the president had floated the idea of outright taking Harg Island, Iran's main oil export hub, which would have been a dramatic escalation, possibly requiring American boots on the ground. Now he says the new agreement would mean Iran stops attacking commercial oil tankers and the Strait of Hormuz fully reopens.
And you'll have oil prices dropping like a rock.
Late today, markets surging and oil prices falling, with the president saying there could be a signing ceremony in Europe that Vice President Vance might attend.
It's a very strong memorandum of understanding. That is a little conceptual, but it's something that's going to get done.
And Gabe, we just heard Iran publicly hedging there in your report. Have we heard from the new Ayatollah? The president was asked about it today.
Yes, Tom, President Trump said it was his understanding that the new Ayatollah had approved, but there's been no statement from him yet. Also, Tom, U.S. officials tell us the military was just 3 hours from launching missiles at Iran tonight when the president canceled the attack, and that Harg Island was not on the target list. Tom?
Gabe Gutierrez leading us off tonight. Gabe, we thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on
As we see, another delay, and no longer are we attacking. What's your take, Nate?
I've heard it all before, baby. Hey, man, I hope it turns out good, man. I'm gonna keep it short. It just let's hope this one pulls off. I'm not going to speculate no more. I'm not going to say too much. Let's see what happens, man. I'm starting to sound like Trump now. Let's see what happens. Let's see Sunday, man. If we're texting each other, let's see what happens, man. Hey, Jackson, my wife, I'm going to text my black friend Ray on Sunday to see if this thing escalated or not, man.
Right on.
You know
What say you, Top?
So look, the less bombs we drop, the better. The more we threaten peace. I mean, come on. I mean, I think it's great. Nobody wants to go blow everything up and all those kinds of stuff. Nobody wants to do a paratrooper assault into Carg Island unless you're a paratrooper. And then you want to, of course.
Hell yeah.
So I understand everything that's going on, but I please don't get on Trump's ass for like claiming that he's close to a peace deal, or claiming that they better come to the table or else I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. I think that he's being very transparent about what's going on, and the less bombs we drop, the better. That's what I got to say.
I like both of your takes. Y'all know radical Ayatollah Ray right here. bomb. Hey, before I was an NBC guy, I was an artillery guy, and hey man, my thing is, I'm not advocating for violence. I'm not advocating for the bombs. One thing I don't like, just like I said before, is we could do this without any help. Then he asked for help. I'm gonna bomb the shit out you, and then now we got a deal coming. I'm gonna bomb the shit out you. We got a deal coming. I don't like that type of stuff. The biggest reason why is because on the global stage, it kind of makes us look like we're weak. It looks like we are untrustworthy or we don't know what we got going on. And for me, it's like, okay, I think that it's like this. Let me put it in terms that kind of show you where I'm coming from, right? I got this little side of the neighborhood locked down. This is my spot. This is my area, okay? Y'all got this side over here locked down. That's y'all area, okay? You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
We having a little issue, okay? This issue is that you guys keep sending people over here and doing this and doing that, and I'm telling y'all, we're gonna stop. But meanwhile, y'all over here tell, everything good, but y'all loading up, so now y'all can come and attack me. And that happens so often in the atmosphere I come from, because that opens the door to vulnerability. Like it opens the door to, I get to play like nothing's going on. But all the while, I'm organized because I don't respect you, I don't like you, I don't care about you, I hate you, and I want to see you dead anyway. And these people typically fit that bill for America. And for me, knowing for the last 50 years that there's been sons and daughters raised on death to America, the big Satan, death to Israel, the little Satan, and they've chanted it over and over again for 40 years, to think that this president is just going to magically snap a finger and every piece is going to happen, I think is being naive. These people don't like us. They want us dead. And right now, I think there's a stalling tactic being played right in front of our face. And Trump being the pragmatist that he is, I think he's actually playing into their hands. So that's just kind of how I look at it. Like, I don't think that they're a major threat to the homeland. I don't think that they are a military might anymore. But as far as them trying to wait it out, they don't want to come to no damn deal. They're trying to see what happens in the midterms for us over here. They're trying to see how much this punishes us politically or punishes Trump politically. They're thinking that politically he could be backed off by just stalling out, because this is hurting them politically. Sadly, not people like me, because I look at things as people are human, and he can't foresee the future. He can't predict everything. He comes to everything with a glass half full mentality. He doesn't look at it at glass half empty. He's very optimistic. So when he's speaking on things, he's speaking from the best possible outcome in his mind of the current situation, which is going on. That doesn't translate well through the media. It just doesn't. And I think that for one, he probably should have backed off a long time ago. Like I said, you destroyed their military. Let Israel figure the rest out. There's no threat to them no more. Let them figure it out. We don't have to be involved in all that shit. That's what the populace is demanding, to get out of this shit. Stop being involved with all this shit. So if we came over there, boom, 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 knocked them out, crippled them a little bit. We gave Israel the handicap it needs. That's being a good partner, in my opinion. Like if you have a problem, Nate, somebody is raiding your house or your property, and it's say anarchy going on. I show up and I drop some bombs, and I'm taking some things out, and then I hurry up and get back to my property. I just did you a solid. We are together in this. You're my partner. That don't mean I have to stay there the whole time while my stuff is falling apart. And that's kind of where I lean at with it. It doesn't mean I'm like a turncoat on Trump. He's still the best president, in my opinion, in my lifetime. I have to see.
Absolutely.
You can't take these foibles, just like the first term. The omnibus bill was the worst thing he did to me. Everything else is chef's kiss. Same thing here. From the day he took office, I have been cheerleading like a mug. Even the stuff people that don't like say it's too radical. I've been cheerleading. I am a little bit like, okay, why are you slowing down on this deportation stuff? You need to pick that back up. But other than that, everything he's been doing, I've been loving it. This one little thing is a little hair in my ass. It's like, yo, just don't even come out and say nothing about a deal until you got a deal. Show up with a deal and show up with a thing. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see Sunday, man.
Yeah. Don't do it. It kind of destroys his credibility and gives ammo for the other side to see. See, he lies. He lies. He lies. You know what I'm saying? Like, and don't give him no more food. Just tell him, listen, we're on their head, we're working it, and we'll figure it out, and we'll let you know as soon as we get it all done. That's all we need. But all this, there's a deal, it just feeds into the, he's just manipulating the stock market. He's a fucking liar. See, you ain't ashamed of him yet? And some people that shit works on, and I don't like it. Don't give them the food.
That's what I'm like that too, man. Don't give them any fuel, man.
Right.
That's what I think's happened. That's what's been happening the last couple months with this shit, man. Just don't quit giving them fuel, man. When we started the other night, I'm not gonna lie to you. When we started the other night, I was like, about goddamn time, let's go.
Right.
Then all of a sudden it just stopped again. I'm like, all right, man.
Here we go.
I'm praying for you guys, damn warmongers over here.
No, man.
And we just had a comment come up. What was that comment that just came up?
Okay, so Henry Davis, thanks for commenting. He said, what if Trump never intended to be a war, but only create a singular U.S. positioning while he reorganizes the world's economic structure? Look, yes. I really believe that we're going to see a world that's more polarized towards what hemisphere you're in. And I believe that we're going to concentrate more in the hemisphere of the Americas, and we're going to allow others to do things in their own hemisphere. And we are going to obviously secure our northern kind of border from across the polar regions attacks and things like that. But I really think, Henry, you're right on target. I mean, right on target, in that we're not trying to start wars, or Trump's not trying to start wars. He's simply trying to get things going to where it's not the globalists controlling things anymore. It is Americans have their own say-so and their own volition to do things, right? We have lost, at one point, we lost the desire to make things. We have said, oh no, we'll let the Chinese make our stuff, right? But now all of a sudden we've realized that, I saw something the other day that was like imported shoes, and it was like, whoa, that means Temu now.
Right.
Back in the day, it was Italian leather and all those kinds of things. There's none of that anymore. Now it's handcrafted by somebody that lives down the street. That's when you get something that you're really like. You know what? Big Daddy Dave, remember Dave? Big Daddy Dave from friggin' Korea? I've got all his leather bags. That's what Penny carries around for purses. Everything he makes, man, I buy one from him. He makes good stuff. I know who the money's going to. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he have a web page?
I'll send it to you. He makes good stuff. I care. Like, he made this wallet for me. Like, this is a wallet he made for me, man. I carry. Yeah. It's a buddy of mine. It's he was our soldier with us, and he's over in Korea, and so I try to support us, and our stuff that we do.
Right. That's awesome. Was there any more comments we could address them? before we get
Dude,
up out
I'm
of here?
telling you, I love this. Thank you. So there's several people on here. If you're on here, please post, something. Tell us where you're at, where you're watching from. This is really supported by donors. And there's our donor list. There we got Burnett Trucking. We got Sarnagi on there. Thank you so much for the support of the donors. I just did another interview with Alexis Morgan. He was the cook in our battalion back in the 90s in 3rd of the 4th. And I used to go stand in his line and he would cook my eggs to order, almost every morning for a long time. He was the soldier that was there, and so we talked about him being a cook in an airborne battalion and all the things. He went to Vicenza to the airborne unit over there. And so that's coming out on Monday. Yeah. He was the CEO of the quarter or something like that over there for the 173rd. Very proud of that. It's really neat to see those that we served with, and so that interview is coming out. So, make sure you watch that. And thanks, Ray and Nate, for your service and for your willingness to be on here on the show. And man, it's so great. So I'm going to drop it. Ray, close us out, man.
Hey, man, thank you guys for showing up, man, and we appreciate you. We're trying to get them out regularly, once a week, man. Share it, like, save. Start the conversation. Get into your local area. Get into your local politics. Reach out and touch somebody. And try to express the importance of really figuring out what's happening, not just running with the headlines, because the headlines are misleading. Make your elections too big to rig. If you are on this side, make them too big to rig. Some people ain't playing fair. Hey, I love you guys, and good night.
Good night.
Amen. Thanks, guys. Woo woo.
Yes, sir.
Marshall in the middle.